Welcome to the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast for all decision makers and action takers. Take it away, Esther.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. Today we're talking about your sales process and why it's important to have one. So, what's a sales process? Don't sales just come flooding in? I mean, that's
I just knew you were going to start there. I just knew it. Okay. A sales process is a structure. Okay. It could be also referred to as a strategy, if you like, but it's normally referred to as a sales process. Lord help me. It doesn't really matter whether you're a sole trader, a large corporate body, a state body. Every single business should have a form of sales process.
So what does that entail? Okay, so this is the Monday Morning Marketing podcast. How does your sales process fit into your marketing?
We're going to have fun with this word today, aren't we?
Process. Is it potato, tomato? I mean, process. The word is a process.
And there's Americans gleefully giggling in the background.
Going, what are they talking
about? Okay, moving on. So what is entailed? Like I said, it's definitely to do with structure. But where it starts and where it should end really is understanding who your customers are first. If you don't put your business in front of where your audience is going to be, then the process won't even start. There'll be no beginning.
Yeah.
So the intent is first and foremost to find your customers and then build some real trust with them.
And how do you build trust with them?
By becoming more personable, by letting them know your goods and your lows and your growth, your improvements, the mistakes you've learned from. I'm talking smaller businesses here. Obviously, I can't see corporates doing any of that, of course.
No. They're all perfect.
Oh, absolutely. But, it's understanding that you've got to build a bond and a relationship with them. And that's really difficult online in many ways. It's actually quite hard to do in person, let alone online. And when you build this process from the beginning with them, you're building that relationship and that rapport, and that builds trust. But it goes beyond that because it's not just meant to be about them. The sales process helps you because it also helps you streamline things. It helps manage expectations. So most of us, unless you're a sole trader, have somebody that we have to answer to, correct?
Yes.
So if you can streamline what you're going to do as a sales process, you've got a way of reporting its success or not. You've got a way of measuring the touch points and where people are engaging with your products or your services. And it helps you better understand which of the processes that you're using, that you're employing, is actually working or not.
Mm-hmm. And it's obviously important to do more of the stuff that works.
Absolutely.
And get rid of the stuff that's not working.
Yeah. And, the hope is over time that as you learn the process better and it becomes more effective, you can scale up, you can improve, you can build upon what has worked and slingshot the stuff that hasn't, hopefully.
Okay, so we define our audience.
Yeah.
Talked about this many times. We figure out where they hang out. We just go there and talk to them. Yeah. That's it?
Well, that's where it starts.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on. Right. So what does this work for both service-based businesses and product-based businesses?
It should do because the hope is that you can bring people over to a point where they become a lead, correct? That's where all sales and all marketing begins. Mm-hmm. First of all, you reach a wide audience that is generally interested in your product and or service, and you then hook them with something and gain them as a lead. So you can do this in many, many different ways. So obviously, we're largely talking about the online forum, but marketing, like the podcast describes, can be done in many different ways. So you can get your leads through networking, through social media, through your Google business profile. And obviously, you can do blogs and videos, and you can attract people and bring them through to your email list. So the sales process is very much like the marketing process, but the difference is you've got a direct call to action where there is an actual sale at the end and not just the desire to have them on your email list.
Okay, so that direct action, how many times or at what point should you start talking about the thing that you're selling?
Well, the lead magnet, if you like, is where you spark the interest, where you get the tangible interest from your supposed audience. But then you need to qualify the lead. That's when you need to better understand why they've become a lead. And maybe that's a place where you can cross sell and upsell as well if you do it properly, which is why it's known as a sales process, because you can do things with the people on that list afterwards.
Mm.
And I think one of the best ways to understand what your lead is looking for is to go back to your ideal avatar, your ideal customer, and think, what is driving them to buy this product or service? What is their ultimate aim? And what issue are they trying to overcome by buying your product or service? What problem are you solving?
Yeah,
Haven't
yeah.
we said this time and time again?
We have, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, and if you can understand all of that, and you've got a way of understanding the money that they've got available to them, the budget, and the sales process also helps you understand where in the sales timeline they're going to buy your product or service.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, once you've done the qualified leads, that's when you present them with a solution.
Okay, because I mean, people can be qualified in many different ways.
Yeah.
Like you say, they can be qualified because you know that they need your product or service. They know that they need your product or service. But the obstacle may be the budget. The obstacle may be lack of timing in order to implement what you're offering, or what you're presenting them with. It may be that they aren't in the market for it at that exact moment, but they will be eventually.
Yeah.
So how do you keep those leads warm before they become full on like customers?
Well, this is where the sales process comes into its own, because if you do the sales process correctly, now if we count how many times we say those two words, I bet it'd be interesting. But this is where it comes into its own, because what you're doing, what you're saying there, is trying to handle objections. Everybody has objections to something or other. I was at a coffee shop before I recorded today, and they said, "Would you like your usual coffee? And can we offer you this cake?" And I said, "Oh, sure, it's the last one there." And they said, "Oh, it's X amount of money." And I was like, "Well, I only came in for a coffee." And
Yeah, but you
so,
can't have coffee
and
without cake. I mean, that's just obvious.
yeah, but the way they resolved that is because I don't typically buy the cakes from them. They know me pretty well. I have for those who don't know, where my office is based, I have a coffee shop just down below the office. So they see me in there all the time for a decaf cappuccino. And they said, "Look, it's the last one. Do you want it?" And I said, "Not really." And they said, "Look, it's the last one. Here, have a discount." Sure, okay. So they understood that I don't typically buy from them. They just wanted a shot of it, and it could have been a couple of days old for all I know.
Still tasted good, right?
It was lovely, actually.
It always tastes
Um,
nicer too with a discount.
it does, doesn't it? Have you noticed that? It's a real
Yeah.
psychological thing. So if you can understand the possible objections, so it might be something that you might want to workshop with your team or with your partner, or heck, with your counterparts, your peers, and try and work out what possible objections that people can come up with, and counter them somehow.
It doesn't always have to be with the discount, though. Sure, it doesn't, because
No, absolutely not.
sometimes, you've made a product and you're barely scraping a profit off the product. So, after you take into account all your overheads and all your
Yeah.
promotion and everything else you have to pay out. So, giving a discount on something you're making, very little profit on might not be the way to go. But maybe, I don't know, at buy 10, get one, like get a free gift. It doesn't have to be like the
It
same
could be something you
thing.
can add on for free, absolutely. But just remember, a lot of the reason why people don't buy or have an objection to your product or service isn't actually to do with your product. Genuinely not to do with your product. They don't understand the benefit of buying your product.
Yeah.
We've said it before, features tell, benefits sell.
Yeah.
So if the way of handling that objection is to do features tell, benefits sell, then prepare for that. Even write them down before you start the
Yeah.
whole sales process.
Yeah, because it's one thing to say, and I always go back to candles.
What
It's
is it with you and
dude, I
candles?
just love them. I have an obsession. But I accept all free
I
candles,
think you're a
but
mini arsonist.
but it's not just, they're made of soy, or they're made of this, or they have, no smoke is emitted. Those are the features. But what benefit is that to me? As the benefits that I want is that it'll make the room smell nice. I don't actually care what it's made of, but I might care that it doesn't emit smoke if it's in a small space and I have pets, and so don't tell people what it's made of, because then you're giving away some of your trade secrets too. But tell them why it'll make their life better. And yes, a candle can make your life better. Trust me on this. When the lights went off a few weeks ago all over Ireland,
Touche.
candles were the way to go.
Yeah.
So,
So the other thing you can offer is a discovery call, because sometimes people don't want that free social media calendar or a list of things that is a benefit to them. They want the personal one-to-one care. So you could also do a discovery call, like 15, 20 minutes. And if people have gone that far down your sales process, then that could just be the shift you need. If you've got that list of objections already written down that you can respond to, then doing a discovery call, how easy would that be?
yeah, okay, in that
It
one,
depends on the product or service, doesn't
obviously, yeah, because you can't really, do a discovery call about a candle.
it? Bet you could.
Probably. If there was smell-o-vision, definitely. But be very careful with those discovery calls not to give away too many top tips. Because some
Amen.
people, there are those people that use discovery calls to glean off all your information, and then they think they're going to implement it all, but they're, they're, I don't like saying it, but there are people out there who are just using you. So be very careful not to give longer than 15, 20 minutes of a discovery call, and make sure that it is more of a chit chat, because then you can build that rapport and that relationship. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be, especially in the service-based businesses where you have to be talking to them more frequently, you don't want to have that barrier of communication when it comes to, how does this person like me to um, refer to them? Are they a very formal person? Do I have to use Mr. or Mrs.? Do I have to, sign off all my emails with yours sincerely or yours faithfully? Or is it a more, oh, hey, how's it going sort of thing? Or somewhere in the middle, so use that to build a rapport, rather than I can do this, 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 and this to help you get that, because then they're just going, oh, so I need to do this and I need to do
See,
this.
I
And
think people use discovery calls in the wrong way. I think this is your opportunity to understand what brought them to you in the first place. And understanding their journey to you helps your sales process. And I think if you can say, look, I appreciate you've only got so much time to talk to me. So that's kind of immediately admitting a boundary,
Mm-hmm.
saying, not saying I've only got so much time to talk to you, but, I appreciate that your day is busy, and I'm very pleased that you've given me your 15 minutes of time boundary. um, and you can then say, look, let's just talk top level here, because I don't want to hold you up too much. And, obviously there's more value I can offer you, but that's further down the line. So
So you're
let's just,
upselling
yeah,
in the first meeting
yeah.
or
Which
leaving
is
them wanting
how,
more.
that's how a discovery call goes.
Yeah.
It's as much you discovering as much about them as it is about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I agree. People use the discovery, both parties use the discovery call incorrectly.
Yeah.
With one party trying to glean as much information on, what is it you will be doing, and the other party trying to glean the information on, you know, what's in it for them.
Mm.
So yeah, it's one of those. It's a part of the process that you have to practice as well. It's like if you're going to lift a phone call, if you're going to lift the phone and make a cold call, I had to swallow down a little bit of puke there. But a cold call,
Ew.
well, who likes doing cold calls? They're
No,
horrible.
that's nice.
You know, who likes making videos? Not me. I know Melanie's got her hand up, but no, like there's things that people just don't like doing, and sales cold calling is one of them.
Yeah.
But if that's a way for you to improve your business and get more customers through the door, metaphorically, physically, or whatever way they come to you, then you might just have to suck it up.
Mm. So let's continue with the sales process. So once you've gone to all the trouble of qualifying this lead and going through their objections and then everything else, you need to actually take them to the end of the actual process, which is closing the sale. And that depends on so many things, because you don't just say, right, buy me now, because you've got to understand when they want it, how they want it, why they want it, where they want it. When are they expecting the delivery? Can you manage the expectations of the
Mm-hmm.
delivery? And then it shouldn't stop there, because, like every decent funnel of its worth, there has to be a retention section, a follow up, a retention section, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose. And that's where you go back and add ongoing value, which is how your lead magnet through to your email list works. And if you can continue giving value, then you hopefully make them an advocate and an ambassador for your business. And then they're advocating for your business to others, and it hasn't cost you anything more than potentially a short sales process, or maybe a 15-minute discovery call, depending on your product or service and your confidence as well, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So the confidence part can be worked on. I mean, you
Yes.
can um, take advantage of friends and family and, sort of bounce it off them. Use a mirror. And I had to practice saying that word. But
I could tell.
look at yourself in a shiny reflective object and practice. Because if you're not comfortable doing that, then you won't be comfortable talking to a stranger.
Yeah. But honestly, some of the best ways to practice is to do networking, because it gives you the opportunity to not just hear a cadence on the phone, or watch the top half of a person's body. And heck, we all remember what it was like,
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah.
So get that experience, get that confidence by networking and meeting people, because it is the top part of your sales process, and it's the top part of your marketing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer in networking and going to events and attending conferences. And I mean, we've got a few already scheduled in for the next 12 months
We do.
and, probably beyond if we think about it.
Mm.
But it's not just enough to go to these events and talk to the same people and,
Oh, you
hang out.
mustn't go and speak to the same people.
No.
That's an imperative.
Yeah. So if you attend a local, chamber of commerce or your local um, council area networking group, be sure to invite other people so that there are new faces
Mm.
to talk to and to interact with and to practice on. I mean, they might not be your ideal client, but they might know somebody who is. I remember going to one recently and there was a bookkeeper. Now, I don't need a bookkeeper, but I know my brother does. So
Ah,
I took her card and gave it to my brother. I don't know what he did with it, but that's his problem, not mine. But always be looking out for ways to help other people too. And that
I
can
agree.
be a good way to give back to these people who are as nervous as you are doing their sales pitches. And yet, you can go to some of these events and they're just talking away and giving all their information. And, you're like, oh, these guys are the pros. Don't let it put you off. Start with 20 seconds, 30 seconds, work your way up to a minute. Don't waffle in your thing. Features tell, benefits sell. Always remember that one.
Absolutely. Is an absolute gift that keeps them giving that particular forward sentence. So I hope this has given you guys somewhere to either update your sales process,
You got it
or
right the first time.
or perhaps structure your first one. It is a living, breathing, moving object. It shouldn't it shouldn't stay the same all the time. There are ways that you can review and update your process at any time. You don't have to wait a year. You can relook at it if you hear about new tools or implements or new events, or if you suddenly find yourself with a marketing budget. So I hope this gives you some inspiration. If you get stuck, you obviously know where to find myself and Esther. And you can also read my blog, which was about this particular subject matter today. And we'll put the link in the show notes. Just visit my website at stomp.ie and look up sales process, or if you're American, sales process. It's the same spelling, it doesn't make any difference. And you'll find my blog. So that's all we have time for today, but we'll be back again next week with another podcast. Bye for now.
Bye bye. Tomato, tomato.
Potato.
Process. How many others are there? Well, no, let's
Well,
not.
there's you goes flower or
Flour.
flower, power,
It's not a mirror. It's a myrrh.
error.
It's a myrrh.
That was our, but
R.
that could also be error, error. Did you say error?
Error.
Error.
But the other one's an R.
There's an error and an error and an error and an error.
Hey or hey, we can start on you with the paw and the purr and the pour. Like, it goes both ways, love.